gosh, this is so exciting. We are live. We are talking about grabbing a drink, whether it's a coffee or a tea or a refreshment. Please do so. Welcome. This is super, super exciting. I am Alyx, your host today. I am the head of careers programming here at Uvaro. And what is going on? We are talking to the lovely women of Uvaro today. And I am stoked. As we know, March is Women's History Month, and we just had our International Women's Day. But at the end of the day, we should always be celebrating each other and what amazing women we have that are coming through our program and absolutely flourishing. And so I'm going to give a couple minutes here just so people can start filtering in. I know sometimes you can be stuck in the waiting room. So we'll just give it 1 second while people start filtering through. And I'll let you gaze at our beautiful faces here that we've got on a 4 p.m. on Thursday. It is a beautiful day outside though. So hopefully some of you are hanging out outside, chilling in the back. All right. We definitely have some people popping in here, which is great. Hi, everyone. How's it going? All righty. And so I'm going to just begin. We have a lot of content today. We have a lot of questions, and I really, really want everybody to see, again, the most lovely faces that we have chatting today. So we've got Patriz, we've got Rashmi, we've got Roxy and Ukot. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to begin by going around the room and asking them a little bit about who they are, a couple questions, about 3 of them. We're going to keep it really tight to ensure that we have enough time to get through everybody and these questions. Again, I am Alyx. If you're just joining us, I am the head of careers programming. I am pumped to see you here. Welcome to Women's History Month. And Patriz, would you go ahead and tell me who you are, what it is that you do, where you work, and why did you decide to actually move into the tech industry? Feel free to ask me what the other questions were as you go through them.
No problem at all. And it's a pleasure to be here, really. For those of you who don't know, my name is Patriz. I was in the 2021-07 cohort. Greg, I don't know if you're here, but hi. Where do I work? I work at PatSnap as an SDR. And why did I decide to get in the tech industry? That's a good one. And I want to say I've always been fascinated by technology, and namely innovation in general. And I always told myself, if I wasn't a nurse, which I still am, by the way, I'd probably be in tech. So as I found myself in a place where, I really began to start questioning things, I wanted to see if there is a way to somehow intersect the two, or if they could be connected to some degree. And I very quickly learned as I went down the rabbit hole that tech sales seemed like a good place to start. So now I'm here.
I love that. I also love how everybody loves to say like the rabbit hole. I feel bad for the rabbits that are like, getting poked on. I'm like, that's my hole. I went down this rabbit hole. It's so funny. Patriz, I love that you talk about intersecting of things that you love to do and that you care about, and then connecting them. So we're going to talk a lot more about that as we move on. But thank you and welcome. Rashmi, you're next.
Hi everyone, Alyx. I have to say I love your host voice. If you ever need a second career, you could get like a really good radio gig going. Hi everyone, I'm Rashmi. I was in the 2020-5 cohort, so 2 years already in the blink of an eye. I'm an enterprise BDR at Lever, so we sell an applicant tracking software into the HR space. And the reason I got into the tech industry is, kind of similar to what Patrice was saying is, whatever your interest is, whatever industry you enjoy, you could find it within tech and then kind of be at the forefront of the innovation in your interests. And also most likely be at a company that also kind of runs in a very quick, innovative type of way, as well as finding a lot of places that had worked prior. They were a little bit slower to adapt to change. And I really liked to kind of be on the pulse of that. And I've always known I wanted to be in sales, and it just really aligned well to venture on over to SaaS.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You said so many things that I want to touch on, being at the forefront and adapting. These are such incredible words that we all genuinely live by here. And so those of you who are answering, please remember these keywords, and we can take that back and start to bust them open just a little bit more. Thank you, Rashmi. It's honestly, it's been 2 years nearly, and it's just so cool to have you here. Roxy, go ahead. You're next.
Hi everyone, I'm Roxy. I work at #Paid as a brand partnerships SDR for SMB side. And why did I get into the tech sales industry? Well, for me, it was a bit of a ride with a new baby and COVID, and a little bit of a husband situation in a hospital. I was put in a place where I had to decide what can I do to stay home and support my family, but still keep, my love of sales and the love of what I do, but kind of do it from home. And that's how I stumbled upon Uvaro through a really good friend. And here I am, and the rest is history.
Oh, I love that. And it's funny, Roxy, there are so many things. There was so much undulation going on in your life when you had come here, but you said words like ride and support. This was a ride, but I wanted to support, and all of this really truly connects back to why you've decided in sales and why you're genuinely flourishing right now. And so we are so glad that you decided to come here and see what it is that you're doing. So thank you. Ukot, you're next.
Hi everyone, my name is Ukot Umezinne. I am a Nigerian, recently moved to Canada, and in that process of moving, I had some time to think about how I want to move forward in my life and my career, having been a learning designer, and it was through that research process that I discovered tech sales. And so I actually landed a role while I was still in Nigeria where I was doing this 100% commission thing in tech sales, and I thought, I'm just going to get this and get into the space. And then I realized I was clueless about tech sales. My understanding of it was more like digital marketing. So one of those days after we had arrived, I was going through the internet searching for roles when I saw Uvaro. Typically, I wouldn't click on a Google ad. I don't click on Google ads, but because I was already in that space and I realized my need for knowledge, I thought it couldn't hurt to just read and see what this is. And through that, I am so glad that I made that decision. So I joined the 2021 cohort of Uvaro. And so why did I choose tech sales? I just saw tech as the future. We all hear, tech is powering the future. And I thought, why not join the space that will be powering the future? And then sales for me was like two things mainly. One, I saw an alignment in my personality that is outgoing, able to strike up conversations with people. And then I also saw the opportunity for my future where I have dreams of building a startup, and just having that sales skill is something that I find valuable for that journey.
I love it. I wrote down 5 million things that you said. I love that you said need for knowledge, powering the future, and alignment, right? You said need for knowledge, and you emphasized need, right? And I think that is just a beautiful way to describe what it is that everybody here is doing. And when they come to Uvaro for some kind of transformation. And I do want to point to the chat here real quick. Kai, I want to thank you for dropping in a note. It says, Roxy, we never met, but I remember using your demo day recordings to help craft my own. That is just awesome to hear, right? How people and women who've come to be successful are helping shape new Uvaro people or grads to come through and learn from what it is that you do. And so I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, everybody here. And so we're going to try and get to everybody. We might go off topic a little bit based on some of the things that you say, but I'm really curious, what motivated you? And we'll start with you, Patriz, but what motivated you, or why do you think it's important that you join this panel today? And you talk about not only your success as a woman in tech, but just for anybody listening, why is this discussion important?
Sure, thanks, Alyx. I mean, it really just started as an opportunity to connect, really. And, the cherry on top being that it would be, amongst these group of ladies. And really, that's where it starts, is just wanting to connect. And, you know, from this, throughout this process, you would be surprised what kind of conversations, important conversations come out of it. So that's certainly something that, you know, I found success in, not just professionally, but at a personal level, is having as many conversations as I can across the arena. And yeah, like I said, you never know what could come out of it, but it needs to start at the very least.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It needs to start at the very least in important conversations. You know, I think it's one thing that we shy away from a little bit. You know, we're taught a little bit to not question, even though everybody says question, question, question. But sometimes we have that barrier, we have that fear, you know, especially us. So I'm so glad that you said that and you're bringing that to light. Thank you. You know, and Rashmi, you're next. And I have a feeling that you're going to say something similar, but please go ahead. You know, why is this important today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly passionate about the lived experience of being a woman and having the conversations around women's equality. And while we've come a long way, and that's evidenced often when you see things now on like LinkedIn, the new trendy thing to say is like, I'm a CEO, not a female CEO. And that's great. And I validate that. And I agree with that notion, but we've only gone to that place where we can say that because of all the work that we've done, and the work isn't finished. So while we have come a long way, there's still a lot of like path to be walked and forged ahead. And these conversations, similar to what Patriz is saying, are a key way to do that. You have to start the discourse and shine a light. And I think that's how I got started.
Gosh, I love this panel. I love that. I want every single person in the audience to really, really not just hear what these ladies are saying, but how they're saying it, right? This is happening and we do it, but it's not without the work that has gone into it. And so let's pay attention to that instead of just start touting out phrases that are meaningful, but let's look at the work underneath of it. So thank you for really showing us that passion. Roxy, looking at you.
For me, it was a lot about sharing experiences and having others being able to relate and see that, you know, if we can do it, they can do it. And we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different, you know, ways of life, and we ended up in a different way. But at the same time, I think united, we're still a superpower that, you know, is a force to be reckoned with. And if, you know, we can do it, anybody can do it.
I love that. We can do it. Anybody can do it. We should get t-shirts. Let's get t-shirts made. You know, I know Donna and Bronte and I will be like just wearing these t-shirts from our panelists all the time. One thing you said was the power of relation and just to relate. Raise your hand if you feel like you can relate to some of the things that people are saying today, or just some of the stories that you hear from Uvaro in general. Yeah, totally. So a lot of nodding heads. Yes, that's a huge deal, right? People forget to question, you know, or to show up and poke a little bit more into what it is that we're seeing or learning and what that power of relation actually looks like. And so Ukot, I'd love for you to round this off. Go for it.
First of all, I don't think I say no to anything Uvaro asks of me, because I've gotten so much value from Uvaro, and I'm always happy to be able to pay that forward in any way. Secondly, I going to do something silly, like I like to talk, so give me a paddle and I'll be there. But then, yeah, the reason why I like to share my story is, I mean, similar to what Roxy said, if I can inspire that one person to take that step, if there's somebody out there who can see me in them, who feels like, okay, if she can do it, if she could move across the world with 2 young children, 4 and 1 at the time, and if she could, through all that chaos, push through Uvaro. I mean, it's hardly a year since I graduated Uvaro, and I'm where I am today. I think that just being able to inspire someone with my stories, enough reason to show up and share.
I'm fine. I'm just getting chills. I can't stress that enough. You know, if anybody can relate or just hear my story and it can help them, then I'm going to show up. And that is genuinely the foundation of the women we have in this panel today, right? They're showing up time and time again for not only here, but for everyone else. And it's inspiring. Quite frankly, it's incredibly inspiring. So thank you for being able to do that and seeing that you have that power within you to be able to talk about this. We do a lot of personal branding discussion here, and this is it. This is the essence of it. Telling your story and being able to articulate it to an audience so they can get that value and be able to raise their hand and say, you know what, I can do that too. So thank you. That is unbelievable. Now I'm going to go backwards. Ukot, I'm at you again. Sorry, but you said you like to talk. So from that, I really would like to know some of the challenges that you faced throughout your career journey. What really motivated you to overcome these challenges, but what were they?
I think just thinking about it now, the first challenge is job hunting. I used to say it like openly, I hated interviews. When I left school, I said I'm not going to interview for any role. I'm going to do my thing. And so, Alyx, I really have you to thank. I consider myself an interview rock star, if I may toot my own horn. But I just going through your coaching helped me to just see interviews as conversations. It's a conversation I'm going to have with these people. I have something to bring to the table and they have something to offer as well. And let's have a conversation and see if there's a fit, because I'm going to be checking them out as much as they're going to be checking me out. And so that really just leveled the playing field for me. I'm not going to say it was easy, like having to go through interview stages and not hearing back or just wondering what's next, but knowing that I still had my power to be able to go out there and keep showing up and keep having these conversations. And also, just being very intentional about my whole job search process made me feel more powerful in that situation than I would typically feel before. So I think that was the major challenge. The other one was just the whole process for me happening at a time when all of this change was happening in my life, with having moved, not having a job in this new country, trying to learn a new skill, with this very young family, and just working through that and keeping my focus. Like, time is going to pass, and very soon this will be past tense, and what's the future that I'd like to create for myself, and just keeping that focus, not allowing myself to accept any excuses from me, just working hard to get stuff done.
Working hard to get stuff done. Oh man, again, these answers are filled with so much that we could quite literally bust apart and talk about for hours, right? How did you get there? And what does that mean? And how did that make you feel? And some of the things that I've been hearing, I hated job hunting, and then you thanked me, but it's not ever me, right? Coaches are like personal trainers. We tell you, hey, look at this, do it. But you are the one that's putting the effort into it. You are pushing as much as you possibly can, and then realizing they're just validating me. They're saying, do it. Yes, 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 over and over again. And that happened. And we started to see, oh, you know what? Now I'm being incredibly intentional. And I know what to do and I know where to go. And I'm pumping this iron and I'm doing it so consistently that I'm getting so much reward from that. And Ukot, you specifically have really been able to show that and tell that story over and over again. So never stop. And I think everybody here can certainly agree on that one. Thank you. Thank you so much. Roxy, challenges. I know we've talked a little bit about in the beginning some of those challenges that you faced, but was there anything else throughout your career, that you really thought, oh my God, this is going to kill me, or this is very tough? What's motivated you to overcome that as well?
This is going to kind of tie back into what we did speak about at the beginning, because those were, I think, the hardest days that I've ever had. And just having my cohort and my classmates When, I lost a partner, when he went to the hospital, I gained an entire family. So when I sat there and I was like, well, I don't know if I can do it because I'm mentally exhausted. I'm emotionally exhausted. Like, I'm by myself. I have a 6-month-old. Like, what am I gonna do? So just getting up and going to interviews was a giant challenge. Even thinking about interviews was a huge challenge, but having people behind me and being like, you got this, you got to do it. It's really silly, but I got to a point where I sat there and I was like, what else you got? Universe, bring it. Let's go. So just having the people behind you to build you up can kind of create a beast in a way where it's just like, throw it at me. Let me see where we can go. Let me see what I can do.
Oh my goodness. That is something that's incredibly difficult for a lot of people, right? Is to get that village that people talk about. It takes a village. Well, sometimes I don't have a village. How do I get a village? And so this is why it's so important. Again, thank you for talking about it and saying how impactful that was for you. I've done the same thing. I've quit my job. I went to a boot camp. I found a bit of a village, but then it was still a little bit difficult in certain areas. And so finding and stumbling as you did and said, hey, universe, whatever, is super impactful. So thank you for, again, sharing more of that story. It can sound and feel a little bit difficult, and it's full of empathy and wanting people to show up and hear more of that. But it's certainly that's going to enable people to come forward for sure. So thank you. Rashmi, you're next. Challenges. Any challenges?
A challenge that I've faced in my career pretty consistently was finding a work environment, and even just the working culture. I think we can all agree that the culture around work has definitely shifted over the last few years, being understanding of and accommodating of different people, needs and preferences. And this is something that even a few years ago, if I was to say this, people would be like, well, buck up, that's work. What do you think? Like, that's just what you have to do. And that just never sat right with my spirit. I mean, I could do it. I had to do it. That's how you survive, but I wasn't really thriving. And so that was a constant challenge. And that concept of, putting 8 hours in a seat is why you're here, as opposed to like the output I'm really providing, which is a thing I love about sales, is that you can see exactly what I'm doing. And regardless of how many hours that took me, it doesn't really matter. These are my numbers and there's really no arguing with that. So that's what I really, really love. And even in general now, I think the conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and even with COVID turning everything totally upside down and with remote work, the working culture has shifted. Now there's an understanding that, oh my God, we're actually people beyond like working, who thought, and we have other things going on and we need to also balance all of those. And so now I feel like I can bring more of my whole authentic self into working. And so that challenge has diminished, although I am a little bit nervous about, I'm thrilled COVID's coming to an end, but I feel like, the people have the power right now and I'm very hesitant to let it go. And so I want to keep having this conversation and keep reminding people that this is in everybody's benefit to have this more balanced approach to work. And so that was a challenge I had for so many years. And then everything just aligned where I'm working somewhere where I can talk about DE&I all day. The trend is changing in the working culture. And I've been saying it for years, but now it's just accepted to kind of talk about. So it's turning a corner, but that was always a challenge.
That is so fascinating. The fact that you're able to work in a remote environment, you said words like surviving versus thriving. I think, raise your hand. Have you ever felt in that position before where you're surviving or fight or flight or anything like that? Yeah, done. Yes. And so when hearing you talk about this is even lighting us up to think about, this has been a challenge, in a remote working period, or finding something that's going to fit who we are. And take that surviving versus thriving and do something with it. And so you're mentioning, diversity and inclusion and culture of your workplace and how it's getting better. I'm going to poke you just a little bit more. Is there anything else specifically that you've found in tech, or where you're at specifically, that's really helped you see a better environment for yourself, or what that looks like? What do you need for a good environment to thrive in?
Yeah, I think anybody that I've chatted with, even like through Uvaro, and I've had a conversation with, if they're in the early stages, my biggest piece of advice is check the culture of the place that you're going, use all the experiences you had so far and take those data points to like infer some information about yourself. There's no right or wrong way to do anything. It's just finding the right soil to get the flower to bloom, and we're all unique, lovely flowers, and there's a soil for us all. And so if you can find a culture that really, like, if you need to be micromanaged because you can't manage your time maybe as well without having somebody there, or if you don't like it, or you want a big team, you want a small team, you want a remote, hybrid, whatever these data points are that you've gathered this entire time, that's valuable information, and find that where you're going next and ask those difficult questions. And it is a mutual conversation that you're having in the interview, and find out if that's there for you. And I work now at Lever, and it's an applicant tracking system. So we sell into the talent space. So I'm talking about these topics all day long, and DE&I is a huge thing within our software, and that we talk about a lot internally, and we also do live those values. And so I got really lucky that I was working HR prior to shifting into Lever. So I really found a place that's like super aligned for me right now, and I think it's showing in the results that I've had. But that's after many years of not quite the right fit, and that's what you do, and that's the early part of your career. You're not going to get it on the first try, but if that's where you are now, like, have faith, like it's leading you to your perfect aligned place.
Awesome. Oh, so many things in there. I'm going to pull every single one of you back to be in some of these classes. I'm just going to sit in the back and chill, eat some popcorn. Yes, like that's what I'm going to do. So just keep me posted. That's exactly it. And I love that you brought that up, that you're working in talent, that you see this, that you're hoping to create better environments through systems and experiences for people. Both you and Ukot have said something very similarly, where you're showing up and you're interviewing the company as much as they you. And so every single person here, I want you to know that that's a huge trend. You cannot accept a role if you haven't asked them if they're right for you. And so let's keep going on that, and know that we are powerful in that realm as well. Thank you, Rashmi. That was awesome. Patriz, challenges, talk to us.
Challenges. Well, I think that would need to be its own separate fire chat segment, I think, Alyx.
Okay. Writing that down.
I know, but really, I think if I could pinpoint like the challenges that I have, come across fundamentally, each of those challenges really depended on where I was in the career trajectory. So, I can recall just graduating university, being a fresh face, entering the workforce for the first time, being a beginner, like not knowing anything about anything really. And then, the challenges around that. And then, slowly moving your way up to, to a novice. And you think that like the challenge that, you're supposed to wake up one day and just, all of a sudden just become better at handling these challenges. But you very quickly learn that these challenges, they also get harder itself. So it's been a constant influx. But the reason I bring this up is because I'm at a point in my career where, having gone from a nursing background to now tech sales, it's funny because in a way I am a beginner at something, yet again. And so it's about, again, learning the ins and outs, managing my expectations a little bit. I know it's growing up with two brothers. It's hard to not want to win all the time, right? But you gotta stay humble, stay grounded, and really just keeping in mind that we all start from somewhere. And it's allowed me to really just, I want to say, immerse myself in tech sales. And so far, although it has been a roller coaster, as I mentioned just before we got on this chat, it's a roller coaster that I signed up for, right? And to your point of what motivates me, you brought it up as well, and Roxy sort of alluded to this. It's, I'm sure like many of you with children, with parents, dependents, I think what motivates us is knowing that we really don't have another choice. It's a grind, and to stay afloat, we have to do what we do. But sometimes we get lucky and we were able to come across, people like you all to sort of bring some light into this journey. But it's a grind that we signed up for.
I love that cap and cap, boom. That's important, you know, and something, I mean, honestly, this is the perfect cap to this question. Patriz, you went real, you know, and we've had a lot of real answers and real questions, but I love that you brought it back to like, I'm a beginner. You know, we're constantly learning new things. The pandemic hit and all of us were beginners again. You know, we needed to learn how to work remotely and connect in through a video and have panels like this to talk about how we are facing challenges. And so I love, and I hope everybody here in the audience is writing these notes down and circling the heck out of them and saying, you know what, I give myself permission to be a beginner. I give myself permission to plant myself in different soil, right? Or to have a challenge, or to show up and ask the pointed questions to people because I need to know if they're right for me, right? These are all challenges. They're all really scary, but if we're not talking about it, then they're never going to become easier. So thank you. That's a tough question, everyone. Like, it really genuinely is. So I want to ask this next one. I'm going to start with Ukot again one more time here. We talked about challenges, but what are you actually most proud of? What are you most proud of in your career so far?
I'm most proud of just being able to make the pivot from learning design to tech sales and being able to show up at the level that I've gotten to, and you know, being able to maintain that lifelong learning drive that keeps me learning and not feeling like, oh, I've got this figured out. No, I'm constantly learning. So when I thought about, you know, this question, I decided I wasn't going to talk about, oh, my quota or this or that. For me, it's really just about learning the skill, being able to apply it, because we learn, you know, all the time, but are we able to put that into practice? Being able to apply it to the level where I am in this role, and I am showing up every day and doing the work, doing the experiments, trying out different things, continuing to consume information on LinkedIn from all the sales influencers, signing up for courses, and just showing up, learning and doing. I'm proud of myself for that.
Okay, I think we can all say that we are super proud of that as well. I want everybody to take note. A lot of the words that all of the panelists here are going to be saying about themselves here. And one thing that I've noticed that is consistent with Ukot specifically is how often you talk about learning and showing up and knowledge and that need to know, right? That is a genuine superpower, and that is connected to what you are now and what you will be in the future. And so I can't wait to see how that quite literally unfurls and what you're going to be able to do with that. And so learning, knowledge, need, drive, showing up, write all this down and know that that's who you are. That's awesome. Thank you. Rashmi, what are you most proud of?
Okay, girl, I'm definitely going to talk about my quota. So when I thought about this question, I was like, okay, there's a granular level, like what I achieved recently, and then there's like high level. So I'm just going to go with the granular first, and then I'll go high level. So most recently, after what I'm pretty proud of is like starting a new job, and the first few months was inconsistent quota attainment, like, you know, trying to like learn the ropes and everything. So it was a bit up and down, which I remember learning specifically in Uvaro, like, you know, it's better to be a consistent performer than like a up and down one. I was like, oh man, I really got to turn this around. And so I did the work, and I, similar to what Ukot was saying, like did the learning and all of that. And recently I won an award at our sales kickoff for most referred revenue, hitting 300% to quota, which was really, really exciting. And before I started, I wrote down a financial goal I had for myself, and I put it on my fridge, and I released attachment to it, but I just kept it there. And I was like, this would be nice. And I did end up hitting it in my BDR tenure, which was really nice. I didn't know if I could do it, but that was a nice surprise. I actually didn't even realize until I was getting ready for tax time. So that was exciting. But high level, definitely like knowing when it's time for me to like move on and try a new challenge, and never thinking it's too late or what's the point or why am I jumping around all over the place, and just trusting myself and making this change in a pandemic and onboarding at a new company completely remotely, integrating myself really successfully into the culture. And now, you know, almost a year and a half into it, that's kind of tough to do in a remote pandemic world. And I'm pretty proud of that.
Damn straight you are. Everybody, let's go. Yes, that is amazing. And I want the audience to pick this up. Watch how Rashmi goes and presents herself. She is speaking with unrelenting conviction. I'm going to talk about quota because holy crap, I worked really hard. I set that goal and I smoked it. That is awesome. I'm going to follow this up. Was there anything that you did that you were like, you know what? I'm learning the ropes. I want to hit that number. Did something shift or did you learn something to do that worked? This is a little bit more technical to sales, but is there anything like that that you saw?
Yeah, I was wondering, I was like, what's going on here? Is this like a technical thing? I'm a nut that I'm not able to crack, or is this like something else that's going on? And I found it was like a little of column A, little of column B. So there was a big mindset component that I had in there that was really blocking me from moving forward. A lot of like, how am I going to make up lost ground? My pipeline is so low, et cetera. Like those types of things that instead of being like, okay, I'm starting today and I'm just going to prospect, it was, I have to prospect and make up for everything. And so that type of thinking was not helpful. So getting my mindset right around that was huge. And then I just realized like, we were doing something that I like to call pioneer prospecting, which is when you like don't have like a tool or like an email verification tool or anything like that, because we were in between switching for tools. And then when I got one up, I like scheduled time with the customer success team, and I was like, teach me. And so that combined with getting my mindset into the right place and also just putting a little bit of like blinders on, like it is helpful to look at what the rest of the team is doing to see like, you know, what the full picture is, so to speak, but their number is not your number. And so I just was like heads down. I was like, okay, let's go. And then a couple of months later, I was hitting or exceeding some months like 150% of quota. And then it's the same way you can go in a negative downward spiral. If you can manage to turn that spiral around, sometimes you go in a positive upwards one, which is a lot of fun and way better than the negative downwards one. So.
Okay, oh my God, a few things. Everyone write this down. Everybody take a pen, do something on your keyboard with your fingers, type it down. Their number is not your number. That is one of the most powerful things I've actually heard a student or a grad or a member say. So I want to thank you for that, because that not only helps all of us, but it also helps me. It helps Donna, it helps Bronte, it helps all of us here who are working to help you achieve these goals. Their number is not your number. Awesome. And I love that you were like, you went to another team and said, teach me. That is adaptability, that's resilience, that's seeking different types of knowledge, right? And so that is awesome. And I love that you said that it's a mindset flip, because sometimes it's just not technical. Mm-hmm. We talk about a lot that, you know, the technical stuff in interviewing is easy. But what's hard is that mindset shift. It's pulling out information that you might not want to give. It's seeking it out, it's researching. And so thank you. You are really, really bringing that home. Well done. 300. Let's also put that on a t-shirt. Patriz, you're next. What are you most proud of? I know there's a lot.
You know, I didn't want to make it about sales, but I mean, I can't help it now. And I guess it's only fitting since we're here. I guess more recently, one of my first outbound deals had closed. And to be frank, it wasn't really that big of a deal, but in a grand scheme of things, and by the way, I'm in no way underestimating the skill it takes to navigate inbounds as well, because I know that's really important too, but you know, outbound, man. And the reason why I guess I was so proud of it is because it was just one of those situations where it was the right messaging at the right time. And I'm sure as a salesperson, you know that it doesn't happen often, right? Because we either get, you know, the right messaging, but sometimes, you know, it's just not a priority right now. You know, that's what's going on in our prospect's mind, right? Or you could have the reverse where, you know, it could be a point where prospects are going shopping and they're considering something like this, but your messaging just doesn't click in the way that it needed to click in order to get them on board, you know? And so it was a simple LinkedIn message. Can you believe it or not? I know that best practices say no, but I couldn't help it. And especially when you're presented with a situation where like the fruit couldn't be any lower. And in this case, it was because the typical prospect we reach out to are people that are heavily involved in the patenting space. And, you know, he highlighted that in his LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. And my favorite call to action, shout out to you for this one, Alyx. Thoughts. Yes. So that's my little win of the month that I guess for me, it was sort of like my little daily dose of validation that there could be something here. And so let's see where this takes us.
That is awesome. I love that. I mean, I love that you went down, and outbound man, I think, should be also on some kind of garment, you know. That's so funny. Right place, right time, you know, and going with your gut, right? I knew this is not best practice, but I gotta nail it. I have to do it. I gotta be that squeaky wheel. And you did it, and look what's going on, right? And call to actions, changing just one word. Maybe it's, let me know. We all know I hate that. Or, I'd love to know your thoughts. Thoughts? It can change everything. And so sometimes they're not radical shifts to get to that 300. Sometimes they're very, very minor and going with your gut. And that is just unbelievably beautiful. It's like a perfect bow. Roxy, I want to know what you're proud of.
What I'm most proud of is actually not settling and not being afraid to start from the beginning. I didn't start my, SaaS tech sales career journey at #paid, but I'm glad that's where I ended up. And I mean, for me, getting into it and going, hey, I need a job, I need to support my family, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then realizing, well, this might not be it, and just being like, well, we're going to throw it all down again and start from nothing, and let's see what happens, and just never settling and always speaking up to get what you want.
Oh my gosh, short, concise, and engaging, not settling. I love Rashmi snapping, because at the end of the day, that is the bow. That is it. When you see something might not be working for you, even if you are down and you don't really know how to get up, not settling and knowing that there is something better, allowing the people to help you and being there and talking about it and showing up is quite literally life-changing. And so I couldn't be happier to hear that from you, Roxy. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been able to have a conversation, and I just, I'm so glad you showed up here. Thank you. All right, guys. So we are 15 minutes away. What am I going to do to give you some more questions here? Okay, what I really want to know, though, I have a few. And so I'm going to ping pong a little bit to each of you. I'm not going to go in a specific cadence, but something that really surprises me is how much things surprise people. As a coach, I see a lot of it, but I'm really curious to know, let's go with Ukot, we'll start with you. What is something that really surprised you during, whether it's your career journey or what you're currently doing in your role?
I'll talk about two things. The first surprise for me was how different tech sales is from what I imagined. I said it at the beginning when I thought tech sales, I was thinking digital marketing, and then I came into Uvaro and I was learning about cold calling. For me, there were like culture. I don't know, maybe because I wasn't really in sales back home, but I was like, really? You can just pick the phone and call people and they will have this time to answer your random questions. Wow, North America, so there were all those little surprises about the role itself. The other one was the fact tied to what I'm working on now with helping young people in Africa to plug into tech sales in the global, like on the global stage. That was a surprise for me. Like, how come I never knew this back home, that I could have been working in tech sales while I was in Nigeria? So that's something that was a surprise, and I was also excited to share with people. I see a question, was I in digital marketing? No, yeah. I was in learning design. So I was designing learning experiences for people.
I'm so glad you saw that. Taylor, thank you for that question. You know, it's important to know, you know, you can have some preconceived notions of what this might look like and then actually move into it and be surprised. And I love your reaction of, really? I just get to be able to talk to you all? That's so sweet. You know, I think that's such a genuine reaction to what it is that you can do. And sales is not scary. You know, there are scary parts of it, let's be honest. But it really, really is going and diving and helping people and being able to help them learn just as much as you do. And so Ukot specifically, you have a lot of experience with that. And I love some of the comments and the questions that are coming in. So if you do see that, any panelists here, please go ahead and respond. That's awesome. Roxy, I'm coming at you. Something that surprised you during your career journey.
What surprised me was actually, it was a huge thing. I've been in sales for over a decade, and, you know, there was environments that I come from that it's, you know, that type of Wall Street mentality. You know, we do a little jingle before we start our day and everyone does their own thing. And, you know, everyone hides the secret sauce rather than share it. And the thing that surprised me is, especially where I am now, is how much everyone wants to level up the person next to them or the person on their team. Like, it's almost like we're all kind of hopping over this wall and everyone's doing the little, you know, pick up by the foot and just throwing them over. There's none of that, you know, well, this works for me and, you know, I'm just going to keep it hidden and not share with everybody. Like, literally everyone's so open, like, oh, this worked for me. Here you go. Do whatever you got to do with it. So just the openness and the actual team mentality of, like, you know, one for all for one, is what really surprised me, coming from environments where it's just like try to one up each other. And here it's like we all want to one up the world, I guess. So that was a cool surprise.
Oh my God, these little tidbits. We just want to one up the world. You know, that's wild, right? And no, and I'm going to follow this up. Roxy, why do you think that's happening in tech? Why do you think that people are like, let me give you a boost, or this worked for me?
I think it's because it's such a different environment, especially like collaboration is really, you know, nourished and fostered within the tech space. And I've never seen collaboration like that anywhere else. So I think people coming into the tech space, especially, you know, people who've never have been there before, they're like, oh, I finally get to, you know, work with people and collaborate and do this. So I'm like going to go head first, full guns blazing in. So I think that could probably be why. Plus, I mean, we're faced with like no's and rejection all day. Why wouldn't you share to make it easier on everybody else?
Yeah, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you help people? That's awesome. I love these like kickers at the end. Like, you are the essence of a mic drop. Why wouldn't you? Boom. Love it. Thank you, Roxy. Rashmi, something that surprised you in your career?
Nothing really surprises me anymore by 2022. But if I had to say something, it would probably be the amount of gatekeeping by some people in certain industries or fields or places that you want to get into that are like really unwarranted, or like a contrived barrier of entry. And again, like, I mean, you need in some places, like, you want your doctor or surgeon to have gone to school for 12 years. I'm with you there. But in other areas, like, you don't really need it. And I think people sharing their stories on LinkedIn and programs like Uvaro are really helping people see that, you know, it's not as challenging to get in, and we're bringing that barrier down. And this, you know, ties back to diversity, equity, inclusion, which I think is so important. But it surprised me even like kind of entering. I think I remember having this conversation like a year or something back where it was like, all of these acronyms are so like, there's like so many, first of all, like there's just so many letters. It was just like an alphabet soup threw up on you. And then I was like, oh, like these are just like faster ways of saying things, but it doesn't mean like it's something complicated I can't wrap my head around. And I think those things intimidate people from trying to step into this space. So that was surprising when I was like, oh, that wasn't that hard.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, how often, or even SaaS, you know, SaaS, you know, what is that? I don't know. It's, you know, I'm going to go watch some Netflix with some Cheetos, you know, like that's the vibe that it can give you. And so thank you for bringing that to light. It is easier than the acronyms can give off. Right. And so that's, I'm with you though, on really how many things could possibly surprise us now in 2022. So I feel you. I think everybody does. I want to, just knock it back real quick. Felicia asked Roxy specifically, how long have you been at your current company in previous SaaS roles? You said you had a decade of experience, and so I think that's where that question is coming from.
So I started sales very young. I started at one of those makeup counters, then moved into telecommunications and ended up in luxury plumbing showrooms, just showing people how to furnish their house with plumbing fixtures. But when it comes to SaaS, I was at my previous company for about 7 months, and I've been at #paid and loving it for a month as of 2 days ago.
Yay! That is just awesome. Awesome. Sheila asked a really good question in the chat as well. I'm jumping a little bit because I can't stop looking at the awesome commentary that's going on. But I wonder if all of you have a wish I'd known this sooner fact to share with everyone, whether it's work related or job search or just life in general. And so I don't know if anybody wants to take a quick stab at that, but Patriz, I'm just going to call on you. Do you have I wish I had known this sooner fact?
Oh man, I could write a book on this if I could. But so let's relate this back to sales. So first of all, don't connect and pitch on LinkedIn. Seriously, learn from my mistakes. And maybe tying it back to a personal level, and this sort of aligns with sales as well, So coming from someone who is, built on lists, built on structure, built on, predictability and just, type A personality, right? It's funny because I'd say over the past year, I've really learned to reel in the power of just ditching the pitch sometimes, and just sometimes not going in with a plan. And, while it is good to have a plan and to have something to be cognizant of, sometimes, you'll very quickly learn as well that a lot of people are just winging it too. And so I've really just being open and being accepting and, just really honing in on the fact that it's okay to not have all the answers sometimes and lead with that.
Oh my gosh, love it. Lead with that. It's okay to not have all the answers. I think everybody here, I think we should have a billboard that says ditch the pitch. That is a really, really good takeaway. Again, it goes and it's really, really consistent with Patriz specifically and how she went with her gut and she threw it away and then ditched the pitch. A lot of these learnings, right? I want you guys to really pick this up. It's fantastic. Ukot, specifically, what is a wish I'd known this sooner fact? It can be anything, life, career.
I can't think of anything outside sales, so I'll just go with sales. But it's kind of similar to what Patriz was talking about. And it's really the fact that there's no right way with sales, because there's so many resources out there and everyone is like, don't ever do that, do this, don't ever do that, do this. This other person is like, don't ever do this, do this. So I wish I had known sooner that the only right way is the way that works for you per time, because the fact that it worked last month may not be the thing that you need to do. So just coming into sales with that mindset of experimenting and testing things out and just being ready to make it pivot once it's no longer working.
Thank you. Yeah, there's no right way, right? Pivot, 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 pivot. We've all seen Friends. Rashmi.
So the thing that I wish I had known sooner would also be the piece of advice that I like to give everybody today, or if there's like one takeaway from anything that I say, and that would be decide that you are already worthy, valuable, content, successful, lovable, happy, whatever feeling it is that you think obtaining your next goal will give you. Decide you can feel that way right now, immediately. It really is easy to get hyper-focused on your goals and what's next, but there's always another bar to swing to. And often when you grab that next bar, that feeling that you have of accomplishing it's fleeting and it doesn't last as long as you think it would anyways. And then your mind is set to the next thing anyway. So if you can really lean into figuring out how to find enjoyment in the journey and the process, it'll be a lot less pressure on you to achieve what it is that you're trying to, because you're trying to achieve it to obtain this feeling or some sort of validation on yourself. Decide that you're all of those things now. Decide you're as happy as you're ever going to be now, and successful even now. You're alive. You did a great job. And now from here, go on and like go for your goals, because now you'll be going towards your goals out of a place of growth. And I think the reason that we're here on this planet is to grow and to transform energy. So from not knowing something to learning about it to its application, that's the entire process. And really at the end of it, all you're going to have is the journey. That's true of your life, that's true of your career. So decide you're those things now and go for it.
The most powerful thing, just decide you already are. Honestly, like some of these thoughts today, and Rashmi, I know Felicia literally just said you hit the nail on the head. I think this can resonate with everyone. Decide, have that conviction already, and that is what will propel you further. And I know that's what you've seen, and oh my goodness, the success, not just in quota, but presentation and delivery and heart towards something you found is just unbelievable. So thank you for having that and telling people to believe in themselves before anything else. That's just awesome.
I want to say one thing, because it's so easy to get caught in thinking, when I do X, I will feel this way. I will be happy. I'll finally have what I want. And that never ends. It never stops. Like, I promise you, it never stops. It like, every time I get something, I'm like, oh, okay, well, like, no, this thing is next. And you're just going to be chasing it forever. And you're going to miss your life. You're going to miss like the day-to-day actually existing and being here. So you're already all those things that you think you're going to achieve when you get that goal, you're already whole. And so do it for the sake of the goal itself.
So I have to jump in here, Alyx. We need another t-shirt. Don't miss out on your life.
We're going to have an entire wardrobe, everyone. You know, I think it's going to be, you know, the boss women, you know, event, and everybody can buy this. It is just a huge lesson. So thank you. And thank you for bringing that back to, if there's one thing I leave you with, right? You know, this ties in really, really well, you know, and Roxy, I'd really love to know, you know, what is your I wish I knew, or what is your piece of advice?
I have a two-parter. So for starters is it's okay to have patience with yourself, and it's okay to realize that the team you're joining wasn't built overnight, and everyone who's joined that team was in your shoes before. So it's okay to have patience with yourself. It's okay to learn, and it's okay to take your time. You don't have to know everything when you step through the door, which leads me to my second part. It's also okay to question, and it's okay to maybe challenge, you know, certain things and have a better understanding of not just we do this because we do this, is why we do this. And this is the reason for it. And I think, I mean, that should be just a thing in life, like going with what Rashmi said, you know, it's just saying, this is why I'm doing it, but this is the purpose. So that's what I wish I knew.
Yeah, it all comes back to why, doesn't it? I know the class earlier today, I have been pelting why at them pretty consistently, and I think we've all been through that. But the why is so important, and I want to thank you. We are at 4:59. This was an incredible tie up to this bow. You all inspire me. I am not me without you. I really am not. And so please take that away and learn to feel, and this is for everybody, learn to feel that you can do everything that these incredible women have done. Decide, as Rashmi had said, that you already are going to. I want to thank every single person for coming to this panel. We do have our next, I believe it is on the 24th at the same time, with our wonderful Sheila moderating and our fabulous instructors who are going to be talking about how they instruct and why they do it here at Uvaro. But thank you so, so much. I love the chat. Sneak anything in the chat that you want before it is that we, you know, sign off. But thank you again. You guys are absolutely wonderful.